morning guys and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back! So, today I'm very excited to do this video because it's been on my list of videos to do for a really long time. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to point out this amazing thing that we have going on here. You can't see it, but I can see it. And if you can't tell the difference in the lighting, I'm going to be so mad. But I feel like I look better. I haven't actually looked at the footage, but from the little viewfinder that I see over there, I think that I look better. I have 3 different lights on me and not a ring light, and I'm incredibly hot. So today for this video, we're going to be talking about being intentional. Being intentional. Being intentional. Being intentional. I will link all my sources in the description below. I did do some research before I just sat down and started talking about this. So last year in 2017, I picked a word that I was going to focus on for the entire year in my spiritual life. So that word was intentional, so being intentional. You see where we're going here? So I spent the entire year learning about and studying being intentional with Jesus, being intentional in your relationships, being intentional in your life, pursuing goals and all of that stuff, and I'm still not very good at it, and that's okay, and I'm still learning how to be good at it, and that's okay too. But today I just want to share with you some knowledge that the internet and my personal studies have come up with about being intentional, so hopefully you can make your life more intentional and better. So being intentional means that you are purposeful in word and action. It means that you live a life that is meaningful and fulfilling to you. It means you make thoughtful choices in your life. Being intentional means you actively interact and engage with your life. Some of the key phrases in that definition are being purposeful in word and action, making thoughtful choices, and actively interacting and engaging. We are most often instructed on these things in relation to our own personal life and well-being, which is absolutely important and sets a fantastic framework. However, those exact phrases are completely relevant to how we conduct the business side and spiritual sides of our lives too. When you set out each day, you're going to know your goals and your actions and steps to get there. So as you may have noticed, we've been talking about plans of action a lot recently, and this goes right along with it. Being intentional, having plans of action, and knowing the steps, the baby steps that you have to take each day in order to achieve those things. As you encounter different circumstances throughout your day, you have to make sure to give each thing thought and to be mindful about your decisions and choices that you make. And you also have to remember to be intentional about engaging with the people around you, like your colleagues, your peers, your co-workers. I think those are all synonyms. Just the people around you, your family, friends, relatives, everyone like that. So being intentional is very much an active thing, and being intentional revolves around having a purpose, being mindful, and engaging. Purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Did you get it? Purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Intentional living is being willing to take a step back and evaluate the things that you're doing in your life. So rather than trying to define a set of choices that are characteristic to living intentionally, as some websites and stuff will say, which I came across a lot today as I was researching this, it's more about knowing why you do what you do, or why you don't do the things that you don't do. For example, why do I make YouTube videos? Why do I choose to put out 2 videos a week? Why do I choose to buy lights and sound equipment, hopefully is coming soon, and a cool background? I think it's cool. It's just black, but it's cool. Like, why do I do these things? And that's because I like helping people, and I like making videos to help people. I like telling a story. I like to have a platform and a place to tell my story, even if it's small. And intentional living is about doing the things that are important to you, even if they're not easy. It means defining your values and making choices that reflect those values. So as I said in my 2018 goals video, my 3 most important things in my life are Jesus, YouTube, and writing my book. So I need to take intentional steps every day to make those priorities in my life. Since I've defined them as priorities, I can't treat them like they're not priorities. So I have defined my values, and I have to be intentional about making choices to reflect those values. So if Jesus is really number one in my life, as I'm telling you guys, then I need to be reading the Bible every day. I need to be praying every day. I need to be fellowshipping with other believers every day, or maybe not every day because that gets a little tiring, but as much as I can, I need to be learning, and I need to be teaching, and I need to be spreading the gospel and just doing what I know that I should be doing if Jesus were really number one priority in my life. Does that make sense? That's what being intentional is all about, is defining your values, Jesus, and making choices that reflect those values. Jesus, reading the Bible, praying. You get it, right? Intentional living helps you to set a course for your life rather than just wandering around aimlessly through life. It gives you the freedom to make time for the things that are truly important and to disregard the things that aren't. Now we're gonna move into the fun part. So I talked about earlier how purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Purpose, mindfulness, engagement. Do you remember that? Yeah, I did that. So I just wanted to connect this all back to why this is important to me. God has given us all a purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, just take time to read the Bible. We all have a very general purpose, and then each of us individually has a more specific purpose also. So the big general purpose that I'm going to be going off of for the rest of this video is to love God and love people. That is found in Mark chapter 12 verses 30 and 31. Once we find that purpose, either the narrower purpose or the broad one that I just told you about, we find our passion and our why. Be careful not to confuse your passion with your purpose. It's also important to be intentional with fellowship, that is, with your friendships and other types of relationships. It's important to surround yourself with godly friends who will lift you up and encourage you. We are supposed to encourage our friends and point them toward Jesus in all that we do. We should model Jesus and the early church, spending time together with friends and praising God. So Acts chapter 2 verses 42 through 47 say, "They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone in need, and every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their numbers daily those who were being saved." So that lists a whole bunch of stuff that we need to be doing as believers. In order to do those things, especially in today's society, we have to be intentional about the choices that we make. We have to intentionally choose to break bread together and to pray together, because it's very, very easy to go through life, to go through even one day and not think about praying to God. It's very easy to be busy. It's very easy to let the distractions of this world just take hold of us and point us away from what we're supposed to be focusing on or what we want to focus on. The biggest and most important part of being intentional for God is being in the Word every day. Being intentional with God helps us understand our paths better, our purpose and our passion and our why. Why are we here? That's a question that so many people have, and philosophers and everyone else have been trying to answer for decades, and I feel like I have this special knowledge because I read the Bible, that I know why I'm here. I know what the purpose of being on this earth is, and I know many other people who have the same faith as me probably know too, but there also might be some who are confused and who just don't know, and that's okay. Just be in the Word and you'll find your purpose and your passion and your why. To achieve intentionality, we have to have determination, purpose, boldness, and steadiness. So what these mean is you have to be determined to make intentional choices every day. When you wake up, you have to have, that determination within you to make intentional choices throughout the day. You also have to have a purpose for your day. If you wake up and you have nothing to do today, how on earth are you going to be intentional about it? You also have to have boldness. Sometimes the things we want don't really align with the things of this world, and we have to be bold enough to intentionally choose to go a separate way than what the world is saying. Because I don't know about you guys, but in my experience, loving Jesus isn't always the most popular thing. I have to be intentional every day to make Jesus a part of my life. I have to wear shirts that say I am a Christian and get complimented all day, but still have that fear in my heart. I have to be bold enough to live with the fear that somebody will say something incredibly rude to me. but I'm always surprised and people are always really nice about it. But anyways, you also have to have a steadiness. In order to live intentionally, you have to be intentional every day. And Jesus is our perfect example for this. He did some crazy things if you look at the way that his world at the time lived and the way that he lived. He was literally insane. He was raised to be a carpenter, but he went traveling around teaching people about his heavenly Father, our heavenly Father, and how we were supposed to live in the world, and how he was going to die for us and be raised to life on the third day and save us from our sins. Isn't that so amazing? He had determination, he had a purpose, he was bold, and he was steady. And that just circles right back to it. Being in the Word every day will make it so much easier to be more intentional in life. One more thing that is not on my script that I would like to share is I heard a while back that your mind and your like who you are can only make so many choices in a day, or we'll get really tired of making choices. So one way to be more intentional is to create intentional routines. It sounds like an oxymoron to say intentional routines, because routines are things that sometimes we fall into and sometimes they're not good. But if you make an intentional routine, those are intentional choices that you don't have to worry about making every single day. If getting in the Word is part of your morning routine, you won't have to make the decision every day to get into the Word, because it'll be part of your routine. If doing the laundry is part of your evening routine, you won't have to think about doing the laundry because it's part of your evening routine. It's just little things like that. If you have an intentional morning, an intentional evening, and an intentional maybe midday, I don't really know how everybody else's lives work, but if you have intentional blocks of time that you do the same, that you have a routine and do the same thing every time, it just makes it that much easier to make other intentional choices. Because if you have to make like 10 intentional choices before breakfast, after breakfast you're not going to want to make intentional choices about anything else. I think that these are really important things to keep in mind, is making intentional choices about doing the things that you love, doing the things that you believe to be important, and doing the things that further your purpose in your life. Also, one more disclaimer, I am not saying that I'm really good at making intentional choices, because I certainly am not. Let me tell you what I did today. It is 11 p.m. now, and all day I've been sitting around pretending to research for this video, and this video was actually supposed to go up yesterday. It is now Friday morning when you're seeing, today. It's now Friday morning when you're seeing this, so it's supposed to go up yesterday. So I'm still working on making intentional choices and doing what I love intentionally. Also, I've missed several of my quiet times, which is Bible reading and prayer and all that. Only 2 this year so far, but some of them I missed for no reason. I just didn't do it because I don't have good intentional morning routines and good intentional evening routines. I need to come up with those things very soon, and hopefully when I get around to making my morning/evening routine, I will have something very intentional to show you guys. I think that is everything that I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe so you can join my family. Hit the little bell to get notified whenever I post a video so you won't miss it. And that's it. So have a great morning, and if I don't see you later, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.